What's up, people? It's me. My name G. I'm gonna talk to you about something that I've been thinking about lately, right? We always look at other black groups that come to America and it seems like they outwork us. And what I mean by that is they come here, they work jobs that some of us don't want to work and all of that stuff. And it kind of makes black Americans look lazy. But I just was having like a thought in my brain and I'm like, that's not really true. Because after Reconstruction, black people were in political offices and black people were building up their own cities. Within 20 years after the Civil War, black communities were already more far advanced than a lot of the white counterparts that had already been there. So what they did is they changed all the laws. They did all of the different things like peonage, black codes, and all of these different laws to keep us from excelling. And then when they couldn't do that in the summer of 1919, the Red Summer, they went and they tore up everything that we had, every city that we had all through North Carolina, Florida, uh, Oklahoma, everywhere. They tore these things down. And then what they did is they left us with petty crime. The difference with black people's petty crime and white people's petty crime is that when we're juveniles, we have a different form of crime than we do. But back in those days, you had the Irish, the Italians, and the Jews, and they were doing the same kind of thing. They had street gangs, but those street gangs were like minor leagues for the adult criminals, for the organized crime. So they would do all of these different things growing up, and then they would turn around and get recruited by organized crime groups to become the next mafia figures. But in the black community, we didn't have that. We had it all the way until the early 70s, I would say. Because, see, back in the day, kids couldn't be on the street. See, like right now, we look at it, we got 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds out in the street doing stuff that adults was doing. But back in the 60s and 70s, if you was 17, 18 years old, you was still running to the store to go get the other guy's cigarettes. You was parking people's cars. Look at a Bronx Tale. He was parking cars. Look at dead presidents. He was parking cars, man. That man was 18 years old getting ready to go to Vietnam. And he was parking cars and getting cigarettes for people. But see, this is what they did to us. They kept us in this low-class state. And if you pay attention with the stuff that we have right now, black people can be so much more farly advanced if we promote it and was able to have the things promoted that would change up the way that we look at society. See, because even though they try to push the worst images of us, we still become successful in everything that we do. We still create culture, worldwide culture. So what they did with us is they put us in a different state. So like I said, back in those days, the kids was the minor leagues to the adults, organized crime, which is why crime was able to be controlled. There was some order in crime, hence organized crime. But with black people, there isn't any. We start off at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, shooting at other little kids, killing other little kids. And then when we grow up, we become the OGs to these gangs, but we fall back and be like, yeah, man, I'm not involved in that no more. Because there is no organization. It's like unorganized, organized crime. It's unorganized. There's no rules. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. And what the government did that is so slick is that Whatever was going on in different black communities, they shared it to other black communities. So in the 80s and the 90s, you had a lot of different cities that would go and travel to sell drugs. New York, Miami, Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Northern California. Those were the main cities that would travel other places and introduce drugs and gang violence to these different places. So that's why during the late 80s and early 90s, you see a lot of Crips and Bloods all across the country, and you see a lot of 6 point and 5 point stars all across the country, mainly going down through the Midwest and the South. But what happened from there is that the government was so smart that they let us promote all the negative shit. So I grew up in the 90s with West Coast rap. Now I was already gang banging, but West Coast rap just taught us about different stuff. I didn't know what chronic was. We didn't call weed chronic. But when a chronic CD came out, we got to call it weed chronic. So you see what happened as far as in that, like it was an influence on the rest of the country. They showed us what they were doing. This is what they do. So the rest of the country started doing it. But what we see is in 2013, we had drill rap. Drill rap changed the whole landscape of everything. Because drill rap was a rap that was actually talking about your direct enemies right now. We killed this person, we did this to this person, we gonna do this to you, and you talking back and forth to each other. So now, when that happened, we saw that uh, the boys with Chief Keef and everybody, they was talking about smoking on Tuka. The rest of the country didn't know what that was. They thought that was a phrase for weed. They thought that was what Chicago called weed. We saw the shit happen with Young M.A. She said something, they corrected her about it. She said, "Oh, my bad, I thought it was weed," because we listen to other people's cultures and we take that. They didn't realize they was talking about smoking on an enemy that they did something to. Ultimate disrespect. Then we saw it go down to Florida with Julio Fulio, and they took it a step further and started going to people's graves and disrespecting people's graves. You see, we started to pay attention to all of these different things, and this is what our kids are paying attention to. And when I look on social media, I see people in whole other countries trying to be what they think Americans are. They want to be that kind of gangster. I saw these guys out of someplace in West Africa, and they was dressed in all black, and they had on green bandanas, and they was talking about they was NBA. And I remember saying something like, "Man, you don't want to live that life." They said, "We're already in it, bro." These guys are so influenced by this American street culture, American black street culture, that over there they cosplay and dress up. But then what changes cosplay into real life is when you really start getting active and start killing each other. So us as black people is what I'm saying is that if we were able to nick that in the bud and stop pushing the angry agenda and stop letting them just force feed us negativity, we would be the best things there is. Because if you pay attention, every other nationality does it. A lot of black people in America were brought to America from Nigeria. So you'll see a lot of people whose DNA is Togo, Benin, and Nigeria, with a mix of other things. And if you pay attention, the Nigerians come to America, and a lot of them are some of the smartest. They become doctors, uh, they become CEOs of companies, engineers, they do all types of stuff. That's the same DNA that we have. So when we do stuff, we become great at it the same way that they become great at it because it's culturally in us. So I think that, the government really played a role on us, and they still are playing a role on us to this day. You understand? One of the worst things that they ever told us that we could be is a real nigga. When we look at what a real nigga is, a real nigga is a person who suffers. As a real nigga, you go and do all of this BS and go to prison or get murdered because you got to be real. A real nigga is really ignorance, man. We gotta stop promoting the real nigga agenda.